Just a reminder, Hashem, continue the Mishnayot tonight, 8:30, and we do ask Hamarim that each one try to take it upon yourself to come twice. You can't come every night. Pick 2 nights, and you could do it. It's only 30 minutes. It's not much. And take it and learn whatever you want. You want to do parasha, do parasha. You want to do musar, do chot. You want to bring a friend to do whatever thing, do whatever you want, but just come and learn. 30 minutes without asking much. It's a chobah, and also do something that it could be benefit for yourself also, as well. So once again, חברים, כל אחד באמת תשתדל. If you cannot come every night, so come twice a week. בעזרת השם, השם ייתן לנו הצלחה. Alright, נמשיך הלאה. נדבר על ההלכות שהתחלנו לגבי ביציאת הפת. Halacha is that אורח מקדש ובעל הבית בוצע. Meaning, if you have a guest, so you give the guest to do the kiddush. But when it comes to Motzi, the Baal Habayit is the one who does the Motzi. And why is it? So it says, מכיוון שבעל הבית נותן בעין יפה. The Baal Habayit gives the piece of the bread, he gives in a good eye. Oreach, he doesn't know how much bread you have in the kitchen, and he doesn't know how much you have. So when he's going to give you small pieces. לכן אורח לא עושה המוציא. מי עושה המוציא? The Baal Habayit. So when you give, you have to give בעין יפה. How much is the ayin yafa? Some hold it should be kabetza, and some hold minimum kazait, which is 27 grams. To merit when you give from the pot on Shabbat, when you give to the bnei habayit, to the people in the house, you have to give a ayin yafa. And how much do you give? You give a nice size, which is minimum she'ol kazait, she'ol kabetza. But the idea is when you give, it has to be b'ayin yafa. דבר נוסף, if you have when you do ברכת המוציא, צריך לדעת שבני הבית they have to eat from the bread שעשו עליו ברכה. Meaning, if you have a bread next to you and you have someone that did the ברכה, you rather have the ברכה, take the המוציא from him and not from the bread that it's next to you. Unless next to you have also lechem mishneh, then you're good to go. But if you don't have lechem mishneh, if you do not have lechem mishneh, and you have bread, you have a challah, you have a pita next to you, and you have the Baal Habayit who brings the bracha, bnei habayit or the guest, they should get a piece from the bread she'asu alav bracha, and not from the bread which is next to him. דבר נוסף, when you do ברכת המוציא לחם מן הארץ, so לדעת that after the Baal Habayit gets his piece, then his wife comes next. Sheila is, when you have oreach mechubad, when you have somebody very respectful, so who do you give first? Do you give it to your wife, or you give it to the guest? So, I heard from the Rabbi Alav Shalom, שאדם צריך להביא always to his wife. He used to have guests, the on his table, and whatever it is, he always gave to his wife after him. So I want to ask him, באיזה מצב she gets second and not first? אמר לי, כשיש תלמיד חכם כמו גדול הדור. אמרתי לו, כמו מי? So back then he told me, כמו ברון קוטלר. אמרתי לו, למה? אמר לי, כי גם היא חייבת בכבודו. So because היא חייבת בכבודו, he gets first before the wife. When you have guests, בוודאי שהאישה gets after the Baal Habayit. אם יש לך אורח מכובד, אז אם זה אורח שחייבת בכבודו גם כן, then he gets before the wife. ככה היה, זה היה דעתו של הרב. חכם בן צור בר שאול, he says, an interesting halacha. He says, you should cut a big piece for yourself and your wife. Then you take another piece and you give it to the oreach, and from that you cut first, you give it to your wife. So she knows that she wasn't the third, she was first, because you took a bigger piece that you're going to take for you and your wife, and the second one you give to the oreach, and once again, I'm not talking a regular guest, I'm talking about the אורח שאדם מכובד, חכם גדול, שאנחנו חייב בכבודו. זה היה הפסק של חכם מצורע בשאול. That you take a bigger piece, and you, from the first one you give it to your wife and to yourself, and then you give it to the אורח. Rabbi Zalman Auerbach, he had משהו מאוד מעניין. He says, what do? Well, first you take to yourself, and then you take another piece, and he says that at the same time you give one to your wife and one to the guest at the same time. So ככה אתה זוכה בזה גם כן. So it's either you give, and once again, מי זה אורח מכובד שיחמד בכבודו, he gets first, or you take a bigger piece and you give it from your own piece to your wife and then to the guest, or you take one piece at the same time and give it to her and you give it to him. Obviously, if she's next to you, next to you, so you can do it. But if not, you sit in the back and he sits next to you. You're better off go with the Chacham Shaul, that you take a big piece for you and your wife, the first one, and the second is going to go to the Oreach.